Brilliant. Thanks so much for this opportunity. It's the second time that I will interview you, and
Fantastic. Thank you.
of course, for me it's an honor. The last one was by phone, and I swear to you, it's very strange to ring the phone. You attend a hi. This is Stevie Rocket.
There you go. Yeah, why
Amazing,
not?
amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, let's get started. Okay.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Agua. Solo
Yeah.
agua.
Let's start. Let's see. It's record. Very important. This one. Mr. Steven Rackett, welcome back to Brazil. Welcome back to us Iceland, the island of metal. This is our interview.
Marvelous.
This is our interview with you. Let's just start it with you. You begin with Genesis, okay? The band
Sure.
already retired, but you still rock it on every stage, on every week. Okay, I already read in some interviews that you wanna continue to play. But my question is, what is your greatest pleasure to perform in stage?
Oh, my goodness. Well, people say to me, do you have a favorite album or a favorite song of Genesis and all of these things? Um, all of it is a favorite. Actually, one of the most difficult Genesis songs to do, which I think is arguably perhaps the best Genesis song, is Dancing with the Moonlit Night,
Mm,
because it goes through so many changes, but it's very beautiful. There's also Supper's Ready, which I think is something that I pushed the band to do back in the early days. And the idea of doing something that was long form, that had a story, was also hugely important. So I still carried the torch for this hugely detailed music that we did when we were very, very young, when we were a boy band back in the day. And now, of course, we're the grand old men of wrinkly fame now, but I'm still involved in music. I'm involved in music that was made before I was born, Baroque music, French Impressionist music, blues, um, acoustic music, electric music, heavy metal, um, music that features guitar techniques, tapping, nailing, um, flamenco, sweep picking,
mhm.
octave jumps, and other techniques that have maybe not been named yet, but where I can make the guitar sound like the harp and impersonate keyboard as well, impersonate the piano. And um, I'm discovering more and more what the guitar can do every day.
Oh, your soul is still young and still rocket.
I'm still rocking, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh to be 21 again, but music is timeless, and
yes.
so um, I think it works for young people. It bridges the generation gap. Um, it does something that politics
Hmm.
sometimes fails to do, which is bring people together to heal people. Music
Yeah.
is medicine. Music is um, peace.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
we are ambassadors for hopefully a more peaceful world
Yes.
when the storm clouds are gathering and the world is decoupling, and we see the rise of dictatorship, and music can be a very democratic institution. I like to
Ye-
work with people from all over the world.
ye-
Everyone is important.
Yes. Now, I prepare a question today that becomes to him, like you mentioned, like when we was born band, when Genesis was growing,
Yeah,
and Genesis is like of course we cannot put this one the first, but Genesis was the one of the big four for progressive music with Pink Floyd, Genesis, of course.
Yep.
Yes, I don't know Rush or King Crimson. I don't know what you prefer about the
Right.
firm. But my question is the sound. All are progressive music, but the sound of each band are so different. Okay, like
Yes. Yes.
yes, it's not like a Genesis that is not like a Pink Floyd that is so different to King Crimson. How you in your band inside the Genesis see these other bands? How do you see? Oh, they looks like this one. What do you think about? How was
Well,
your? How do you think about the other?
well, I think that in a way we're all brothers in song because I've worked with many people from Yes, many people
Mhm.
from different incarnations of Yes. I've worked with many people from King Crimson as well. So um, there must be something like-minded because I think we listened to each other and we were influenced by each other. I had a band with Steve Howe in the mid 1980s called GTR.
Mhm.
We were playing together, and um, I found it always very interesting working with people from these bands. Like Chris Squire and I, we did an album together as well, um, and we worked on each other's things. Um, I think at one point Chris Squire asked me to join Yes, and I thought, well, that would be interesting because then you'd have me, associated with Genesis and with Yes, and that might be a first. But I was at the point when I was thinking of taking Genesis Revisited on the road and celebrating those early years with the things that made people take notice of what
Mhm.
we were doing at first. So um, I think the similarities are greater than the differences. Of course, all these bands had very different singers.
Yes.
There was such a thing as a Genesis voice that both Peter Gabriel had and Phil Collins had, something very similar.
Mhm.
Um, Now, yes, with John Anderson and Chris Squire, when I was working with Chris Squire, at one point I heard Chris's voice sped up slightly. And I said, you know what? You sound like John Anderson here. And he said, yeah, I agree with you. So it's almost as if there was a sort of genetic um, synchronicity with the way these bands all had something. And all the singers from King Crimson, when you
Mhm.
had Greg Lake, um, John Wetton, Boz Burrell, um, Jacko Jaksic, there's something of the voice which is a voice that can carry a tune. Um, Adrian Belew, they all had fine ballad voices. With three bands where it seems as if um, there's a group identity that people manage to fit.
Mhm. I totally understand your point. I totally understand your point. And now about the music in these new days.
Yes,
For me, the music become it's not about the streaming, okay? But I think the streaming is the reason. But it's not this my question. Today, I think the music it's a little different. I think because it's not more like a material, like a LP, or like a vinyl or a cassette. Uh, and I think it's very difficult to appear great bands
yes,
in these
yeah,
days. We have
yes,
of course we have some some bands that I could suggest here, but it's not the same from the past.
sure.
Not have the same importance from the past. Uh,
Well, I think that great musicians exist everywhere, everywhere in
mhm,
the world. Um, in recent years, I worked with a guy from Azerbaijan who
Mm.
plays a small string instrument called the tar, and he's probably the world's best player on this. And his name is Malik Mansurov. And I met him in Hungary when I was working with Hungarian musicians.
Mm.
So, and then I'm thinking back to a time when I was watching Ney Matogrosso on stage and noticing that the guitarist with him was Rafael Rebello, who was playing marvelously, absolutely brilliantly, a wonderful combination. And so great musicians exist, I think, in all eras. Whether they find each other in order to make incredible bands, I don't know. I suspect that there is almost a conspiracy which works against virtuosity in
Mhm.
favor of something that's purely programmed and then sung and produced with two people. Up to now, that's been the kind of hit record that we've been listening to um, for a long time. But then even those people must feel under threat with the arrival of AI,
Mhm.
of course,
And
which impersonates people very well. But at the same time, I don't think people are going to pay money to go see AI live
yeah,
unless it's all AI and avatars and nothing's real. It's all cartoons and no people, no actors.
yeah,
I think people still want to go out and be entertained by a fantastic orchestra. Um, um, the Berlin Philharmonic, the London Symphony Orchestra, the New York Philharmonic,
hmm
um, whatever the national orchestra is, people still will go see that, or they will go to see a band. I suspect, when you're thinking of metal bands, you're thinking of Metallica. Metallica working with an orchestra. So, the idea that these separate schools come together, and maybe there aren't so many um, bands functioning at that level
got
as
it.
they were at one time. I don't know if there's the same level of idealism that um, absorbs music
hmm
and transmutes it from different geographical regions and different eras.
hmm
The combination of Baroque meets blues meets jazz meets world music meets every single damn thing. But that is what those bands did. Of course, the Beatles made it possible to do a pop tune, a rock tune, a vaudeville tune, some an Indian raga. It was a very wide canvas, a broad church, if you like,
hmm
because those guys were great writers and hugely influential. But it meant that they were listening to other people. So I don't think you can be a great musician and cut yourself off from what others are doing. Uh, you have to stay open in a way.
Perfect, perfect. A real class about music. Thank you so much.
I
Um,
don't know. I mean, I'm a purely instinctive player.
yeah,
My approach is emotional rather than intellectual. I try to rationalize it, but I'm as big a fan of other people as they might be of whatever I've done and Genesis. I've had my heroes, and I marvel at what other people have managed to do. So I think I'm always learning. I'm always starting out, and yet, of course, I'm no longer. a 21-year-old in a boy band. Those years are behind me. But I celebrate the past, or honor the past and celebrate the future. I like
Yes.
I like to be doing new music as well as the ideas of the old things. I'm doing many things with orchestras and different combinations of instruments. So we can do something pretty kind of surprising. The idea of music with surprise. If the music is surprising, it takes an unusual twist. It turns. I hope it engages. It ought to be, in the words of my friend Roger Dean, the artist. He said he thought the purpose of a record or an album was to be overwhelming emotionally, and that's a very perceptive statement. Yeah, you need to be taken on that ride, that journey. It needs to arrest you. You hear something and you think, my God, who's that? Or, my God, that sounds good. Maybe I can do something like that. The hybrid of styles. I mean, when I was a kid, of course, in the mid 1960s, I heard something on the radio and I thought, oh, that sounds amazing. Wonder who that is. And you find out later that was the Beatles. Oh, really? I Am the Walrus. Many rock musicians say, what an incredible track that was. When you heard it, you didn't know who the hell it was. It wasn't something that was generic. It wasn't, oh, here's another Beatle track that sounds just like the one they did before. That was something hugely new and inclusive. Bits of comedy, bits of um, all sorts of stuff, bits of Shakespeare appearing at the end, wafting in and out, hugely surreal. And I hope that music will become um, as visually stimulating as they were orally enthralling at that time. So that's what we have to do. It's a bit like, when you went to cinema and they were saying cinema, oh, cinema is dead. It's all about TV. And then Star Wars came along and everyone went, wow. So come on, where's the new Star Wars? Where's the new Jimi Hendrix? Where's the new
Yes.
Beatles? It must be there somewhere around the corner. There must be somebody or some band that is totally thrilling. There'll be some young guy out there who's totally frustrated with the stasis, the stagnation of the scene, and go, "Hey, I can do better than that." Boom, yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, about this tour here in South America, how was for you to live again? Okay, this beautiful history from Genesis with this band with Genetics.
Right. Um, well, Genetics play the stuff very well. They sound very much like Genesis at the time when I was working with them, and I was with Genesis from 1971 to 77. So that's the era of the Genesis stuff
Mm.
I do with them. But we also do some of my other stuff that I've done
Mhm.
outside Genesis, of course, because life doesn't begin and end with Genesis. It's a huge part of my life, and everyone else's, I think, who listen to detailed music. Well, they do a great job of playing this stuff,
I
and
love.
I've worked with them before, and sometimes we let the music evolve a little bit so that if Leo, who plays all my guitar parts normally, I say to him, well, why don't we swap guitar licks on this one, trade against each other so we can let it evolve the end of Supper's Ready, let that evolve. The stuff during Fly on a Windshield, we let it evolve. So you have the fixed stuff, but it becomes looser, so that it can become a current conversation, not just um, a fossil from the past,
Uh-huh.
a glorious exhibit from a museum. Uh, Sometimes the corpses, you know, the uh, the Mummy Roadshow has to be revived and out there to give it a new coat of paint.
Um, Now, it's a personal question. Sorry, I don't want to create a bad environment here, but sometimes in your life, you already think to perform a record for a Genesis for other other time that you like a song from Genesis that you not record. You already think to like to do a version or something like this.
Oh, you mean songs of Genesis that were never got recorded, you mean?
Yes, that you never
Or
record. That you never record. Like one song from Genesis is that I like that Jesus she knows me. I like that song. Okay.
yes,
Yes, like you already think to record a song from Genesis that you not record the.
that I didn't record before. Well, it's interesting that um, I before I joined the band, they did an album, I think in 1970, called Trespass. And I've become very good friends with Anthony Phillips, who wrote a lot of that music
Mhm.
at that time. And there are some very beautiful songs he came up with on that. Um, One of which is Visions of Angels. It's
Mhm.
really very beautiful. And I said to him, would you like to, re-record any of this together in order to celebrate that? So far, he he's resisted that, but we have recorded three things together that have appeared on different things. And so who knows in the future?
Yeah.
Um, I hope that he will um, lose his reticence and record some more things, because I know we are a fan of the same music from different times.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Now I have like we are almost in the end of this interview. Okay, Mr. Hackett.
sure.
And I have a part that I name choices. Okay,
Hmm.
I give
Yeah,
you two options and you prefer and you choose one.
okay.
Okay, it's so simple. For a progressive music, what is the most important, guitar or keyboard?
Oh, well, I think it's the symbiotic relationship of the two. I wouldn't say that guitar was more important than keyboard or keyboard was more important than guitar. I think they're both very good composition instruments and they complement each other
Mm-hmm.
wonderfully. They're it's like, what is more beautiful, Jupiter or Venus?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole world.
Yeah.
Um, and of course with guitar, um, there is electric guitar as we know it, and 12
Mm-hmm.
string and all of that, acoustic, but there's also nylon guitar. So nylon guitar um, is a very different instrument. The violon is a
Mm-hmm.
very different instrument. The violon in the hands of Andres Segovia is very different from the electric guitar in the hands of Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
Um, they can both set my soul on fire in different ways. I can thrill to them both. They're very different to each other. With keyboard players, I think the equivalent is all the things that the keyboard can do, and the keyboard these days, even since the Baroque era, where you had the huge pipe organs, they attempted to be a one-man orchestra, even from the 1600s. Now, um, uh, how can I put it? somehow there has to be a thing whereby you say you can make all these noises, and keyboards today can reproduce with samples an entire orchestra. Yeah, that's true. But what happens when you play piano, right back to the basics of piano, with all the tone colors? That's wonderful. That's a world unto itself. It is an orchestra unto itself, a smaller orchestra, but nonetheless, it can still thunder. And then the beauty of harpsichord, I think, which sounds like a thousand cathedral bells, or as if, it was a miniature cathedral, a beautiful sound. Even Debussy wrote a piece called La Cathédrale Engloutée, the sunken cathedral, and it's the piano with the echo of the pedal down to allow the things to continue. Beautifully haunting and very evocative. So as you can see, I'm a huge fan of what the keyboard can do, as well as I'm a huge fan of the the assault on the senses that is the electric guitar, to dive bomb and police car sirens and squeal and all these things. It's a very alive instrument. But if you put, the best together of what all these instruments can do, you can have something really, really thrilling. Because I think the keyboard is not just one instrument, and fretboard is not just one instrument. It's many different instruments. So I can't say one is better than the other. Um, is J.S. Bach more mighty than Andres Segovia? No, it's the two. The power of the work of two masters working together.
Perfect, perfect. I will not continue because our time is not the end. And
Yes, unfortunately.
yeah, yes. Thank you so much for this.
Thank
I
you.
I learned a lot. Now, I would like to introduce yourself and invite all Brazilian fans to your concert here in Brazil.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Uh, do you mean Sao Paulo or Rio? It's Sao
No,
Paulo, I think.
São Paulo
Yeah.
and Rio.
Okay.
With
Yes.
all, no, not
Okay.
worry.
Well, okay. I'll try. Uh, Hi there. This is Steve Hackett. I'm really looking forward to coming to play in Brazil, Sao Paulo, Rio with Genetics. I'll be doing many things. My music, music of Genesis, classic music. I'm really looking forward to being there. I look forward to it tremendously.